is this Facebook and that's YouTube? Yeah, right.
This is Lori Summers.
Oh, that's you.
We got two videos.
I got both. Yeah,
That's the Facebook post.
Yeah, that's the Facebook one. That one's a CD. I got both, but they're gonna do another order. This one, sometime. Just F&M Bite's kind of different for me.
All right, we'll get started shortly. We've got a few people on both YouTube and Facebook right now, so just give us a couple minutes and we'll get started. Well, I'm my sheet, so I gotta. You may have to start setting up. I gotta go right and get my little with starters and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. 10.
All right, let's go ahead and get started. Got the Two Dubs and the Bears show.
The
Bears joined us here. Kind of as we started, we're gonna do it a little bit different. Don't have my notes that I normally do, but it's going to be kind of a tribute to Jamar tonight. We're going to, tell stories. Feel free to share your own stories as we get to that point. We're going to start off talk a little bit of softball, and then we'll get to that. But softball, their season ends on Wednesday night. Ryan and I were on the call on the Two Dubs show. They lose to Palmyra 7-1, the final. Really a closer game than that. Palmyra was able to tack on some runs late. Just a great season for Monroe City. First district championship since 2015. I think going out, winning district, you beat a Bowling Green team that came in as the number 2 team in the state. Just ran into a hot Palmyra team, just unable to hit, to put a couple runs on when they had an opportunity. But a great year overall. You have, you have Lauren Youngblood who, capped off a All-State, followed up an All-State year with another All-State selection that's going to be coming up shortly, I'm sure, going to Division I. Danielle Fauner, really a coming-out party for Danielle as she gets all conference and all district honors. The two other seniors, Madeline Meyer and Madison Moss, certainly had their moments as well. Madeline with a home run to beat Highland in a game, and then Madison Moss really played great defense. At least a couple of games we watched, especially that Salisbury team against the state-ranked Salisbury team. But, going on, they got a lot of promise coming up. A little bit shorthanded at the end of the year with some injuries, but a good nucleus coming back and success coming down the road for that Monroe softball team.
Yeah, just kudos to Coach Chin, Melissa Chin, and Rick Baker, the assistant coach there. Just do a great job in that program. And, bright future ahead. Melissa and Rick handled a very trying week, as we'll continue to talk about here. And, the girls came out and, it was an emotional night as the two communities. More people I've ever seen at Lions Club for a softball game.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I due to work, I wasn't able to attend, but coming through town, I don't know that I've ever seen the Lions Club look like that or anything. And just talking to Kevin O'Brien earlier today, Neil Miner, the concession stand was rocking last night. So, one thing we think about softball, a lot of enthusiasm for the upcoming years, a lot of talent coming back. And Mike, before we get started, I just want to tell everybody who's watching, I've got my Facebook Live up. So if you have questions, stories, anything regarding Jamar that you guys want to discuss, feel free to post them there. We'll make sure we get those shared.
And we also want to thank our sponsors, Quinn Farm Supply, as always, sponsors the show, and Kenny St. Clair at St. Clair Service Center. Thank you for sponsoring all year, which we're guaranteed at least one more, if not two more of these shows. So,
and also going to shout out first-year program again on the cross-country Cup districts coming up next weekend, and unable to compete this last week for obvious reasons, and it was Monday they were going to go to Salisbury, and the JV game and that cross country ended up canceling out. So, it just good luck. Great first year program. Coach Mulvaney, they're leading that program, and the girls are going to compete as a team. Beta Hayes, Emily Williams, Olivia Chin,
Lexi Bird, Hannah Wheeler, and Lauren Smith.
And then on the guy's side,
Kat Harland, Caleb Griffin,
Will
Will
Ball,
Ball.
Jackson Wheeler.
Yeah.
So good luck next Saturday.
And they all, you got, for a first-year program, first time running it, you do got some people that are going to be competitive in the district and going forward. So it'll be interesting to see, and good luck to all of them. But, as we all know, it's been a tough week for Monroe City and, really the surrounding area with the loss of Jamar. Before we kind of get to stories, I do want to say, our prayers are with all Jamar's family, but, right now, especially with Michelle, she's fighting in Columbia. So if you're praying tight, I think we're asking for all the prayers we get for all of them. So.
Well, and let me tell you something. The Monroe City football team just came out. Last week, the coaches, I'll just kick it off, guys, if that's all right. Last week, the coaches came out in nice new, kind of like fleece jackets, windbreakers. And I noticed Jamar didn't have, kind of the team issued apparel on. So I asked Coach Kirby, and he said, Jamar, and this is typical Jamar, he said, nah, Clark County, we're all black. So, and here we come out, senior night, last guaranteed home, not last guaranteed home game, but for the regular season. The black helmets, the black jerseys,
the
black
classic
pants.
My favorite jersey, for sure.
Black on black on black. And Jamar would not have wanted that any other way, because if anybody was as crazy about uniforms as I was, it was Jamar. So, he loved apparel. I've got my Jordans on for my guy. He loved wearing his Air Jordans. I don't know how many pairs he had.
I don't know.
Thousands. It's all of you out there, please share with us. Jeremy's got his Facebook going, or text him if you've got his direct number, or me too. I guess my phone's sitting right here too. I'm not even using it. So
yeah. One thing about tonight, and I know, early in the week, I think us three just talking on the side, it was hard to share stories, and it was really not fathomable to think about these kids playing this game. But as the week went on, you start thinking about what Jamar would want and what energy he had, and stories for him. For me, I can remember being 10, 11, 12 years old, watching Jamar compete, not only on the football field, but on the basketball field, running track. And you want to talk about a competitor, man. He was, as I think Coach Krager, I saw a story from him when Jamar was young saying he was the best. Jeff Garris put something out on Facebook about a story about Jamar. And, he was quick to tell you he was going to beat you, and then he was going to compete like heck to do it. Yeah. And there wasn't anything wrong with it. And to watch him, I think, as a young kid, and Michael, Ryan, you were about to get into high school by that time. That group kind of set a level of expectations for a lot of different sports that, and Jamar being one of them, that when you came on the field, when you were ready to compete, it's go time, and nobody's going to show you up. Nobody's going to push you around. You're going to stand up for yourself. And that, to me, Jamar in high school, growing up watching him, I'll just never forget his competitive spirit and how he wasn't afraid to take on anybody.
Well, I can add to that because he never lost it. So on Sunday nights here in Monroe City, we have what we call old man basketball. Well, it's turned into there's a lot of younger guys there, and Jamar basically was the old man most nights. And he'd come from Palmyra, he'd have his brand, new shoes, and in typical Jamar, he'd start off and he didn't want to do a whole lot other than go 3-point line to 3-point line. He wasn't going to play a whole lot of defense. He wanted to get his buckets. But I will say some of my favorite moments, because we'd sit on the sideline a lot and let the young pups run. If any of them ran their mouth to Jamar, he'd turn that whole competitive juice back on, and he'd turn and say, I remember one of the last times we played over there, one of the younger guys, probably just out of high school, said something. He said, "Watch this, fam."
Yeah.
And he went in, and he just basically did everything he could to score on him. I know he started off and he had gotten a little bit bigger in his old age, and he kind of used his body pushing people around, but he still had it when he wanted it, and he wasn't going to let anybody kind of talk anything to him.
I will share just a quick story on that. I got him one time. So Jamar went and played basketball with my brother Jason, and between school and games, he would be at our house a lot, and kind of treated me and my brother Pete like little brothers, and would mess with us. We'd play army ball in the basement. And so one day we were upstairs, and he was kind of slapping me on the back of the head, kind of airboxing me, popping me in the arm every once in a while. At that time, I think I was in 5th or 6th grade. I was probably about Jamar's size, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah.
So I had enough. I had it. And I picked him up over my shoulder and laid him out on the kitchen counter. And Mom will tell you, she wasn't too proud of me for doing that. But Jamar, he backed off. He said, "Get on me, Bear, get on me." And so that's one real fight. I got him one day. He was talking crap. I got after him. He didn't expect a 6th grader or 5th grader to clown. But one thing that I'll miss from Jamar is every time I ran into him, whether it's at a basketball game, a baseball tournament, up here in middle school football games, it's "What up, Bear?" And there's a few people, if you know me, my nickname's Bear from years ago, but that "What up, Bear" from Jamar, you always knew who was saying it, and he never missed an opportunity. If he saw you, he was coming. Give you a hug, give you a 5, and say, "What's up, man?" So I just that mouth is great, but as Jason, we talked earlier this week, and it got him in some trouble. One time a 5th grader got him. So.
Yeah, so Jamar was a senior when I was a freshman, and as a freshman coming over, there's that anxiety you always feel. You start 2-a-days, everybody talks about walking in uphill to school, but us 3 here, we live real 2-a-days, not like what they do now. And it's no fault to these players or these coaches. It's just the mission rules. But anyway, 2 days were long and they were tough, and But Jamar and Ryan Algan in particular really took me under their wing. Ryan had broken his arm his wrist right before 2-a-days. So I ran a lot of first team offense. And you're talking about ultimately an undefeated football team. And I'm sitting in the huddle at Aaron Crow, Jamar, Marcus Summers, Kevin Roy, Andy Buckman, Aaron Utterback, the list, Brian Hubbard, all of these just super athletic, super competitive dudes, and I'm just this little bitty old freshman. But Jamar would always put his arm around me, and he would just tell me, "You do you." And from that time, we hadn't known each other before that. Growing up and at parks and playing baseball, our ages would intermix every now and again. As far as I would play upper league or however the ages broke down. But I got the pleasure to coach with him here at Monroe, and Tony DeGrave gave Jamar and I the opportunity. It was 2 of the funnest years that I've ever had in education. Jamar, we'd be battling in his own way. Sorry, guys. He would come up to you in the game. I was offensive coordinator. Tony called the defense, and Jamar, we maybe had a bad series or something, but Jamar would come up. The defense would be playing, and he'd just look me in the eye, and he'd just say, "You do you. You got this." And he instilled that confidence in you that maybe you didn't even think you had yourself. And he does that now with these kids. Coach Kirby and I were talking about this the other night, Saturday night. We all met at Coach Murphy's house after we found out. And Coach Kirby and I shared that he does that with Coach Kirby, that he just says, "You do you." And he just instills that confidence in you that you, like I said, I wouldn't have had it without him being by my side. I wouldn't have had it as that little freshman, and I wouldn't have had it as that coach. So that's just the biggest thing I take from Jamar, because he could go up to anyone. We could watch him in pregame. He would be going up to, I don't know how many kids we got, 40-some, Michael. He would go up to 40-some kids in pregame and say something to them. And everything that he said was positive and pumping them up. And that's unbelievable.
And I think somebody else in the media may have said it too, but I can't think of a better player coach for a high school person than Jamar. Jamar would go and he relates to all these kids. He's got the ability to, if anybody questioned, to look at his, just background and say, hey, he's lived it, he's done it. I mean, unbelievable athlete in his own right, but the ability he had to connect to these kids and be on their level and, pick them up when they needed to, get on them a little bit. He was very good at just, not, in a positive way, getting, if they need, a little bit of a jump in the butt, he's able to do that in a way that, relates to the kids and gets them going.
Yeah, one thing, just to add on that, the type of person he was, it wasn't just kids that he coached. And for many of you guys, I know a lot of you guys know he coached basketball, coached football, but he was extremely active in the summer coaching travel baseball and softball. And I remember when Ryan, my son, was playing in the Palmyra Basketball League, and I was coaching, and I saw Jamar pop in. He watched the entire game. Then he come over, of course, gave me a hug. What's up? Talked to my son, and he told me, he said, "Hey man, I was walking by the gym, and I peeked in. And I saw this dude handling the rock." He said, and he goes, "That was the Moss. I had to come in here and watch this Moss play basketball." Same thing over at Bear Creek. We'd be playing, coaching our travel team a couple years ago, and look over, and Jamar's hanging off the fence, and he's watching these kids. He's talking to them after the game, and so he had an influence on so many. But he was just the type of guy that didn't sit back and wait for you. He was coming to see you. He was going to tell you, and I said every time Ryan played ball from then on out, Jamar came up and gave him a high five, said, "Hey, good game, man. Keep in it, keep working." And that's just the way he was. That's how he was wired.
My oldest son, Rhett's very similar. He would, and Rhett told me, he's like, "Dad, Jamar loved me, didn't he?" I said, "Yeah, he did," because that's how he made you feel.
Yeah.
He, like you said, Jeremy said it very well. He didn't care if he was coaching you yet. And I've seen him through the years go to more opposing players and tell them, like, extended hugs and in their ear after a football game or after a basketball game he's coaching the girls, and tell them, I know what he was telling them. You tell them, "You're special.
Yeah.
Shake it off." Obviously he's coached a lot of winning games, whether it's on the football field with Coach DeGraver, Coach Kirby's staff, or on the basketball court as he's helped Cody the last 5 or 6 years. He's coached a lot of winning games. So a lot of times he's going up to the other stud player or somebody that had a standout game, giving him his normal, dap, and then saying, I know what he's saying. It's like, "You're good. You got this. You do you." And I know that the outpouring of love that we're seeing from other communities, that's where that comes from. Because, yes, his mouth kind of got him in trouble on Twitter with the Clark County people with this tweet sticking up for Jada. But Jada's family, when you're family, nothing else mattered to Jamar. And, that when I say family, I mean like everybody.
He knew your family.
But then in Chris Dewar in his podcast, if you haven't listened to it, an excellent tribute from Chris and Jet, his right-hand man there at KHQA. But he went right up to the Bevins girl and said, "Hey, it was nothing personal. That was my family. I'm always going to stick up for family." And he asked me, I was the principal time, he said, "Hey, you going to fire me?" I go, "No." "Are you crazy?" But he went right up there and he just said, "Hey, look, no hard feelings. You're awesome. You're a great player. Jada's my cousin." Yeah. And Michael was talking about coaching. Sometimes he would coach hard. If you've watched the girls' basketball game in the last 4 years, nobody got it worse than Jada, right? So because he knew the potential that was in there, and he would bring it out of her night in and night out. And sometimes it was patting her on the back and saying, "Great job." And sometimes it was like, "Hey, look, I want you to shoot the next 10 times down this floor because we need you right now." And that is the type of confidence he instilled in everybody.
And I think you bring up confidence. Jamar was always confident. There wasn't an ounce of a lacking of confidence. And I think, in talking to my brother and hearing him tell stories, and what changed over the years is he went from his own internal confidence and confidence in himself to then instilling confidence in others.
Yes.
And instilling the not just the confidence, but the I can do anything. I can attain if I get my head right and I get on and I do the right thing. I can get there. That to me is what has for him, his competitiveness, and the way he demonstrated his confidence as a younger man. He took all that for the good the older he got, and he instilled that in others.
Very good.
That's where I think his mark will be felt for years to come. With this community and other surrounding communities, including Palmyra.
And two of those things. One, the thing with instilling confidence. There's no one that's been more proud of the success that Monroe City's had than Jamar.
No, you're right.
There's nobody, I guarantee you, when Monroe City won state, there was nobody more proud than Jamar was of that group, and he let you know it. Now he might have told you that 94 team was better or whatnot. But
if you read the Hannibal Courier Post, go back and Google that state champ. There's an article in there that Jamar being a part of 94.
Yes, there was. You're right.
He is the first one to say this team's better. Okay. He said that 2017 team, that was the best team that came through Monroe. And I said that to me just shows you who he is. Those kids looked up to him, and he knew it. And he wanted them to continue to have that confidence moving forward. And that's just kind of the way he was, man.
So I was with Jamar in 1994 on the sidelines as a little freshman in Springfield when we won state. And I was on the sideline supervising in 2017 when we won state, so right by Jamar. And I can assure you, as these guys were saying, he was super proud of that 94 team. And he showed that highlight film to anybody. But I can tell you, it was a moment that Tony and myself and him had talked about for many years is another generation of Panther players feeling the success that we had. So he was so much more proud of that 2017 championship. Look at the picture of him hugging Dawson Shively when Dawson Shively seals the game. My mom just posted something. It was something I was going to say. So Mom and Jamar shared a birthday, November 15th. We were a couple weeks away. Jamar's birthday coming up, my mom's birthday. Jamar absolutely adored my mom. Called them twins. My mom is, 25 years older than him. She's a little old white lady, and he's Jamar, So, but he called her his twin and was super proud of that. He made everybody, and we haven't even touched on this, how many smiles did he give, did he have those people that were residents at the Monroe Manor? How many smiles did he give every single day to those residents out there? So not only are the youth of our community have a hole and have just a devastating loss, but the Monroe Manor and all the residents there and all those people worked out there, and there's just the smiles he would have brought daily. Yeah. And we've got a post here. I think a couple posts may be coming. Jordan Walkup said, been to Jamar's 100 times, and he's seen that 94 highlight film 100 out of 100 of those. And that's very true. And Mike Bodie's post will come up here on Jeremy's here, so we can click more there, Jeremy. Mike Bodie, of course, right in that time frame at South Shelby. And that was the kill the bird era. We can't do that anymore, But it was just so intense, and he always rose to the occasion as an athlete, and he always rose to the occasion as an adult, being there for these kids and knowing, as Michael said, knowing exactly what they needed at that time. It was a true gift from God. And the only thing that I can think of as we try to wrap our heads around this is something was amiss up there, and God needed somebody to ease some things up, and he needed his guy to come back up there, and there's no doubt in my mind that he would at this point in time in his life, he would be mad at us because we're talking about him and not these kids out here preparing for this game. And we will. Michael and I are going to do our damnedest to keep it positive during the radio broadcast, but we feel like our guy deserves a half hour of him. And anything you guys want to share, we've got about 6 minutes left.
Even though Jamar would probably say, man, shut up and talk football. Let's move on.
He would.
It's Monroe City, Palmyra.
It's Monroe.
What are you talking about right now?
And one thing I wanted to add, we talked about the Palmyra community. I mean, his kids grew up in Palmyra. He coached his kids. You know, I know he came up and coached the Palmyra team in the Palmyra tournament. And, you know, he had a connection to that community, and they're hurting too. You know, I know his wife, Michelle, and my wife are in the same class. And we'd be at the class reunion for Palmyra, and he'd always, I know one year he wore his Monroe City hat to make sure, you know, I always had to tell him that I was the one that converted, you know, I converted my wife to Monroe City. When was he going to do his? And he'd be like, just wait, fam. Just wait.
Just wait.
But, you know, it's.
And Joe, you're right. Joe Quinn just posted. We did a whole lab team last year, Michael and I, and Jamar certainly goes down as the top punt returner, kick returner. His cousin Lamont would argue, and man, you talk about some fun arguments being with Lamont and Jamar at the same time, two of my favorite dudes of all time, and they could go back and forth. And of course, Lamont and I are always going to say 96 was better than 94 to Jamar. But let me go on record on Facebook Live. 1994 is the best team that Motor City's ever
Most
had.
talented team.
It was just unbelievable. And what is sometimes forgotten, those guys, plus this guy's brother, that winner, go to state in basketball. So it's much like Centralia did a few years ago. They win state twice, but, I mean, who's beating Chris Carrawell?
Let's talk about that for a second, because Jamar had a pretty interesting moment on our way to state in Kirksville when he lost track of time and kind of chucked it up 3-point up there in Kirksville. So
and then Andy Buckman got it.
Andy Buckman got it and banked it in to take the 2-point lead. And then we had a situation where he had a foul on the inbound play that Fatima had a chance to make 2 free throws, which I didn't miss the first one, but Jamar had the ball at the point and just glanced up, thought he saw 1, and it was actually 7, and threw the ball up. Luckily, Andy got the rebound and put it in. But I always used to give Jamar a hard time about that.
And you know, my good friend Tony DeGrave just came on here, and he might watch later, but Tony gave Jamar his start here at Monroe coaching, and basically a time when Jamar in life really didn't know, you know, he wasn't married yet. He wasn't sure, you know, what his calling in life was. Tony saw something in him that I don't think Jamar saw in himself yet. And here we are 12, 13 years later, and he found his calling. He found his passion in life, and that is servicing others, being there for others. And
shout out real quick, Tony, superintendent up in Vandalia. Van Far plays Bowling Green tonight. They're doing a 50-50 drawing. They also have 2 helmets, one Bowling Green, one Vandalia, and a football. Players are going to sign. They're going to sign an auction. All donations go back to the White family. So just a shout out to that school district, both Bowling Green and I was in Bowling Green today. And, of course, they had a tragic loss last year with their players. And so definitely related to the situation. And a lot of community members sharing their support for Monroe City, Palmyra, the White family. And so just really awesome to see that come together.
And we're wrapping up here in a couple minutes, guys. But all profits from tonight's gate, which will be a huge crowd.
It already is a huge crowd.
It's a huge crowd, and we're 30 minutes. We don't ever see this many people here when we're doing Facebook Live. All go to Michelle and the kids. So, wow, you know, that's just great for Tracy Bottoms, our superintendent, John Fortney, our principal, Cody Leonard, and shout out to Cody too, because he brought in Jamar as an assistant coach for basketball, and those two have really formed a bond, and 2 totally different personalities. You know, Jamar's a rah-rah guy, and Cody, admittedly so, is not, but they worked well together. Worked perfect for what that team needs, and the fam is right. You know, we've all got our gear on tonight, and he was our fam. We were his fam, and that's how Jamar loved it, and that's why we loved him so much. And I said this the other night in our Facebook Live, but if the world could learn anything from this, Jamar saw no political party. Jamar saw no race. Jamar saw no age. Jamar saw no gender. He treated people every single person the same. If we could all do that, this world, I mean, if I don't agree with you politically, who cares? It doesn't make me bad. It doesn't make you bad. It just makes us different. Guess what? That's our country. He lived it like that. We all need to live it like that. And I'm so glad that we could do this for you guys. I'm glad that Michael and Jeremy could be with us to do this because what a dude.
Yeah, agreed. What a dude.
Yeah, not a whole lot more to say.
Those of you that are not going to be here tonight, not trying to let the cat out of the bag, the Motor City football team is going to run out to the 1994 highlight film song. Again, black on black on black. Jamar did not wear the team issue jacket last week. He wanted black on black for Clark County.
Hey, let's go Panthers. Right? Let's go play some football.
Yeah.
Let's go play. Let's see that black and gold run onto the field, and let's go Panthers.
Godspeed, my
Yeah,
friend. We
man.
love you. Thank you all. Oh, good job, guys. Thanks. If I
Way to
said
keep
too
it together.
much.
No, that's exactly what you're here, but way to keep it together. I don't think you did that, man. That's why I told Megan on Monday. I don't know how you're supposed to tell a story about
Can
it.